Okay, let's just dive right in. If you've ever felt that, that overwhelming anxiety of hitting submit on a really crucial document, a job application, or heaven forbid, a court filing, the pressure.
Immense pressure.
Yeah, immense. The pressure on the judicial system for both speed and just unerring accuracy is huge. So today we're diving into how AI is stepping in to manage that.
That's right. Our mission today is a deep dive into these new AI-enhanced court management systems. Specifically, we're looking at rule-based bots.
And these are being introduced across all 94 federal trial courts in the U.S.
All 94 of them. It's kind of a quiet revolution, really, all about removing friction from the legal process.
Now, this isn't exactly science fiction. I mean, the foundation for this has been around for a while, right?
It has. We're talking about the CMECF system.
Case management electronic case files.
Exactly. That's the technological backbone. It handles pretty much every single electronic submission that goes into the federal courts.
And it really did change everything.
Oh, completely. CMECF let attorneys file pleadings electronically, so you get immediate docketing. And the public can access those documents through PACER.
Public access to court electronic records.
Right.
But just because it's electronic doesn't mean it's perfect. It didn't get rid of the need for, a human to look at it.
Precisely. Technology can't cure human error.
Or just the sheer volume of it.
It's not just the occasional error. It's this constant grinding burden of non-compliance. I mean, think about the thousands of filings every single day.
Right.
Clerks still have to manually check for documents with the wrong event code or...
A missing signature? I bet that happens all the time.
All the time. Or inaccurate formatting, file sizes that are too big, or, simply not following the hyper-specific local rules for that court.
That sounds like a monumental waste of time for highly skilled people. It turns court clerks into proofreaders.
That's the perfect way to put it. They're constantly playing catch-up. It burdens the staff, it slows down the whole docket, and it kind of undermines the whole promise of e-filing.
So what's the solution they're pitching?
The solution is powerful. It's these rule-based bots that insert compliance checks before the submission is even accepted.
So it's a shift.
It's a crucial shift. You're moving the courts from being reactive finding and fixing errors after the fact to being proactive, preventing the errors from happening in the first place.
Okay, let's unpack this. If I'm an attorney and I'm uploading a really important motion through CMECF, how does this automated system actually conduct these checks so quickly? What's the architecture?
It's not a single program. It's more of a sophisticated stack built around 5 high-level components. It's a layered approach.
Okay, walk us through them. Where does the check start?
It starts with the ingestion layer. The moment you hit upload, that action triggers the pre-check sequence.
So the document doesn't just go straight to the docket?
Nope, it gets intercepted.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the second and really the core component, the rule engine, or the bot module.
Yeah, that's the brain.
That is the brain. It's configured with all the national standards, but also, and this is key, the very specific local rules for that district court.
So it's not just checking, if a box is ticked. It's applying local knowledge instantly. How detailed are we talking here?
Oh, meticulous detail. For instance, they check technical compliance. Is the document in the right format?
A PDF, you mean?
More than that. They don't just check if it's a PDF. They check if it's PDFA compliant.
Wait, why does the court care if it's PDFA? I would have thought any PDF is fine.
That's a great question, and it gets to the court's core mission of being an archive. PDFA is the specialized ISO standard archival format. It ensures that document will still be perfectly viewable, decades from now, no matter what software changes. A standard PDF might have things in it that become obsolete. The bot makes sure it meets that long-term standard.
That makes a lot of sense. It's future-proofing the file. Okay, what else is on the bot's checklist?
Well, beyond format, it's looking at metadata, naming conventions. Does the title match the content? It verifies signatures, making sure a required digital or wet signature is actually there.
And what about event codes? I know those can be a real headache.
A major pain point. The bot checks for event code correctness. So if you selected motion to dismiss, does the document you uploaded actually look like a motion to dismiss?
Wow.
It also checks timing. Did you file before midnight local time? And, critically, it checks for redaction and privacy compliance, flagging if, say, a minor's name or a social security number is visible.
That list alone tells me courts are going to eliminate thousands of hours of manual work.
Absolutely. Think of the clerk who has to call an attorney for the 50th time about a file named Final Draft V5 Really Final.pdf. That just disappears.
Right.
And that leads to component 3, the feedback and correction loop. If the bot finds a problem, it doesn't just fail. It immediately sends a rejection or a warning back to the person who filed it.
With guidance, hopefully. It has to be instructional.
Exactly. It gives actionable guidance.
Yeah.
Your signature is missing on page 3, or this PDF is not archival compliant. Please convert and resubmit.
And the last two pieces?
They're about oversight. You have the logging and audit trail, which tracks every single bot decision, and the human oversight dashboard. That's where clerks can monitor everything, tweak the rules, and handle any appeals or weird edge cases. It's automation with a human safety net.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. Let's talk about the actual benefits. Beyond just saving time, what are the immediate measurable gains here?
We see a huge impact in 3 areas: efficiency, accuracy, and risk mitigation. For efficiency, filers get a massive benefit.
Immediate feedback.
Immediate feedback. Instead of waiting hours, maybe days, for a clerk to review their filing, they get an answer in seconds. That speeds everything up.
And for the courts themselves, the consistency must be a game changer.
It is. Your accuracy just skyrockets because the checking is standardized. Automation reduces that human variability, that human error, and it enforces the rules the same way across all 94 districts.
And that frees up the court staff to actually do the complex work.
That's the resource allocation piece. Staff can stop doing these mundane intake tasks and focus on complex case management, advising judges, things that require real human judgment.
And what about risk mitigation? You mentioned appeals based on procedural mistakes.
That's a core procedural risk. If compliance is consistent and enforced, you reduce the number of filings that get rejected and then appealed just because of some technical error. But there's another angle.
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity. These systems, CMECF and PACER, they handle incredibly sensitive data. They've been targeted by breaches. So having a system that rigorously vets every single file before it even enters the system.
Like checking for that PDF-A compliance.
Exactly. That's a critical layer of defense. It reduces the attack surface.
Okay, but this raises a huge question for me. A national system across 94 different districts, each with its own local rules. That sounds incredibly complex to implement.
The complexity of the rule set is probably the biggest logistical hurdle.
Yeah.
You have uniform federal rules, sure, but the local rules can vary wildly.
In what way?
Everything from preferred font size to specific event codes that only exist in one district. So the national framework has to allow for all that customization without becoming, an unmanageable mess.
And you have to convince thousands of lawyers who've been doing things one way for decades to change.
That's the change management challenge. It's massive. You need clear documentation, good training, and real support. If the system just feels punishing or confusing, lawyers won't use it correctly, adoption will fail.
And we are talking about legal filings. The data itself demands extreme caution.
Absolutely. Privacy and security are non-negotiable. The system has to adhere to the absolute highest federal security standards.
I also worry a lot about equity here. If this bot is just relentlessly strict, doesn't that put someone filing prose without a lawyer at a huge disadvantage?
That is the critical challenge: equity and access to justice. You have to be so careful that the system doesn't become a procedural barrier instead of a gateway.
So what does that look like in practice? How do you build a system that's strict but fair?
It means building in accommodations. Maybe you create a much simpler front end for pro se filers. Or you build in tools to help them prepare documents correctly.
Fewer rejections?
Fewer hard rejections for simple format errors, yeah. Or maybe more options to get human help if you fail the automated check a few times. The system has to bend. It has to serve justice, not just efficiency.
So who's in charge of all this? How is it governed?
It requires a really robust governance framework. At the national level, you have the Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts, the AOUSC. They set the core rules.
Like the PDF-A standard?
Exactly. The core standards, the minimum things the bot has to check in all 94 districts.
But the local courts can still customize.
Yes, that's vital. The district courts still have the authority to input their specific local rules, their time zones, their unique requirements into the bot's logic. That distributed model is crucial for buy-in.
Okay, so looking ahead, if these rule-based bots are just the starting line, what does the finish line look like as AI gets more sophisticated?
Right now, we're focused on explicit black and white rules. Is the signature there, yes or no? The next step, looking ahead, will be things like machine learning augmentation.
How is that different from what we have now?
A rule-based system verifies if a rule was broken. A machine learning system detects patterns.
Okay.
So it could analyze millions of past filings to detect weird, anomalous patterns or even predict likely compliance issues before you even hit submit. It shifts from verification to prediction.
That sounds incredibly powerful, but also a little fraught. If the bot is predicting an issue, isn't that a kind of procedural profiling? How do you ensure fairness?
That is the core ethical question they'll have to face, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the potential is huge. Another area is natural language generation.
Automated drafting help.
Exactly. The system could read your document and prompt you with the correct event code. Or it could automatically generate a compliant cover sheet for you, cutting down on those initial errors.
And with data from all 94 districts, I imagine you can start to improve the rules themselves.
That's the cross-court insights piece. You aggregate all that data, and you can see where the systemic problems are. If 80% of people are making the same mistake in a certain district.
Maybe the rule is the problem, not the people?
Precisely. Maybe the rule needs to be clearer. And finally, that equity issue has to stay front and center.
How so?
The future has to include increased user support to close that digital divide. You could have automated chatbots or guided filing portals that walk a pro se litigant through the whole process, step by step.
So this has been a fascinating deep dive. The takeaway seems pretty clear. The federal courts are using these automated bots to cut down on human error, boost efficiency, and standardize things nationwide. But the success really hinges on careful governance, balancing those national and local needs, and most importantly, ensuring it's equitable for every single user.
You know, what's really fascinating to think about is what happens when we move past these simple rule-based bots. The current system is auditable. It's easy to see why a document was rejected, the date was missing, but what happens when the bot's feedback shifts from that to flagging a predicted pattern based on opaque machine learning? How do you structure human oversight and accountability then? How do you guarantee due process and a fair outcome for every single litigant when the logic isn't a clear rule but a prediction? That's the complex question of algorithmic accountability the judiciary will have to grapple with next.